Securing Jamaica's trade and development interests, advancing government's inclusive and proactive foreign policy, key focus areas for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade in 2015. We recap some of their top achievements later in the show. Plus, a look at the partnerships needed between government and citizens to tackle climate change. And later, we hit the streets to find out what Jamaicans are doing to get rid of mosquitoes in their communities. Hello, I'm Adrian Atkinson. The package unfolds right now.
All the people then with a Zig V, hold up your hand. Zig V in the Caribbean territory, but we now want that virus take set pan we. So make sure send no stagnant water inside and mash up all mosquito breed inside. More hole in the tin them where you dash by and change the water in your vase every day. No litter, dispose of your garbage proper. You know them the thing that we turn drain blacker. Tour your community and tour your yard for suppress mosquito. We have figure hard dash we all tire turn over drum pan for prevention is the greatest weapon. And special shout out to pregnant ladies. Protect yourselves and protect your babies. Draw for your zapper and your mosquito spray. If we do all that we can to keep them away. How we now was in vain.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, January 26. The Justice Ministry's Victim Services Division has received new service tools to help children who are victims of crime deal with the trauma that they have experienced. The items, worth $250,000, were handed over to the division on Monday by the United Nations Development Programme, the UNDP.
It is part of a package of support that UNDP has been granting to the work of the Commission of Inquiry since 2014, which targeted 5 national institutions, including the Victims Services Division.
The statistics show that the majority of its clients are in fact children. And so it's very important when you have development partners who are willing to come on board with you to enhance what is available to serve these children.
At Monday's function, Director of the Victim Services Division, Reverend Osborne Bailey, revealed that between January and December 2015, the division saw approximately 5,416 victims, of which 3,269 were children. Entrepreneurs will soon have access to a variety of online business courses. Jamaica Promotions Corporation, JAMPRO, and the University of the West Indies, UWI, signed a memorandum of understanding last week to administer the courses. The online training programs will be offered through the university's open campus and are intended to improve the business practices of micro, small, and medium-sized businesses.
Hopefully help them to develop their businesses into more professional, more efficient, better functioning operations, which can then start to write business plans that the banks can then look at, because the banks are constantly saying there are not enough bankable projects out there, there are not enough bankable business plans.
The MOU is for a 2-year period. In the meantime, a micro, small, and medium-sized enterprise MSME office has been established at the Ministry of Industry in New Kingston. Portfolio Minister Anthony Hilton recently opened the MSME office to act as a single focal point for the management of issues related to the sector. The office started operations on January 1 of this year, with Andreen Collins appointed at the helm. Minister Hilton says the establishment of the MSME office confirms the sector's importance to inclusive growth and wealth creation. The unit will play a critical role in the implementation of the MSME and entrepreneurship policy and is to facilitate greater alignment between the ministry and the work carried out across other government entities. More locals and visitors are enjoying the famous Boston Beach in Portland in comfort following recent refurbishing work. The popular spot was refurbished at a cost of $27.7 million. The work was implemented by the Tourism Product Development Company and funded by the Tourism Enhancement Fund as part of the National Beach Development Program.
And our policy is very simple. We are going to have these beaches in perpetuity. so that the people of Jamaica and visitors and anybody who wants can go and access some of the best beaches in Jamaica free of charge in perpetuity, so that not just us but our children, when their time comes, will have proper beaches that they can go and enjoy.
Entry to the newly upgraded Boston Beach is free with a small fee to use the offices, gazebos, changing rooms, bathroom facilities, and concession areas. The beach is also wheelchair accessible for the physically challenged. Education Minister Reverend Arnold is reminding school counselors that they are not to discriminate in executing their duties based on students' sexual orientation or any other factor. The minister was responding to recent media reports suggesting that some school guidance counselors are refusing to offer counsel to students that identify as gay or lesbian.
It is repugnant to think that a child, a young person, searching for answers in whatever area of life should be turned away because of the personal prejudice of any person to whom they turn. That is exactly counterproductive to what we want. And this is not to say that the teacher, the guidance counselor, the dean of discipline, the security officer is to groom a student who appeals to them, with whom they come in contact, in any particular lifestyle or in any particular religious dogma. Not to say that at all, but they are certainly not to turn them away.
Minister Thwaites was addressing a recent press conference to provide an update on several education matters. And finally, the Education Ministry has announced that Jamaica Day 2016 will be celebrated on Friday, February 26. The annual event will be held under the theme Celebrating Jamaica, Promoting the Arts. All schools are required to plan and showcase activities highlighting the creative industries, but not limited to the performing arts. The ministry has instructed that students should be guided to understand that there are many benefits to be derived from our nation's involvement in the creative industries. For more information on Jamaica Day celebrations, educators should contact their regional offices. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Diplomatic ties between Jamaica and a number of countries were strengthened in 2015. For example, Jamaica and Japan signed off on areas for future cooperation. And British Prime Minister David Cameron announced £360 million worth of development assistance to Caribbean countries, including Jamaica. Those initiatives were partly due to the hard-working team in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. We'll wrap up our Year in Review series by placing that ministry's top achievements in the spotlight.
Securing Jamaica's trade and development interests while advancing the government's inclusive and proactive foreign policy. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade's Year in Review 2015. Early in 2015, the ministry hosted its 17th annual Diplomatic Week as it continued building partnerships for prosperity. During the year, diplomatic relations was established with the Republic of Equatorial Guinea and the Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal. In January, Minister Arnold J. Nicholson met with counterpart ministers from the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, CELAC, and China. Discussions resulted in bilateral agreements in several areas. That same month, Jamaica tabled 3 of 24 declarations that were adopted by the 3rd Summit of the Heads of Government and State of the CELAC Group, aimed at reducing poverty and creating equitable and sustainable development. That period also witnessed Jamaica and China signing an agreement for economic and technical cooperation valued at over $1.8 billion. In March, Jamaica and Belgium agreed to strengthen bilateral relations and identified areas for cooperation, including sustainable development, renewable energy, and security. The next month, bilateral talks were held with U.S. President Barack Obama, who also signed a statement of intent for the deployment of energy-related technologies to Jamaica during a visit to the island. At the 7th Summit of the Americas, meanwhile, Jamaica made its call for legally binding commitments from parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change.
This is a matter of survival for small island developing states.
In May, the governments of Jamaica and Brazil signed a visa waiver agreement for people to move freely and to boost tourism between both countries. And a MOU was signed with China for the commencement of negotiations to establish an air services agreement between our two countries. The Foreign Affairs Ministry continued to pull the power of the diaspora to bear on development in 2015 with the 6th staging of the biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference in June. The conference attracted over 2,000 participants, engaging business persons in meetings on investment, trade, and local linkages. In June, the European Union committed €800 million towards investment support for Latin American and Caribbean nations, and later €346 million was committed to support regional integration and address development challenges. Diplomatic ties with the United Kingdom were strengthened in September with a visit from British Prime Minister David Cameron, who announced £360 million in development assistance to the Caribbean, including Jamaica. Not long after that visit, Jamaica welcomed Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to the island. Jamaica and Japan signed off on areas for future cooperation, including the use of renewable energy solutions, and signed a cultural grant.
We agreed on both sides that there is ample space for the expansion and enhancement of our cooperation at all levels.
Jamaica also celebrated 50 years of diplomatic relations with Venezuela and hosted the summit to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the Petro-Caribe Agreement. On September 25, 2015, world leaders at the UN General Assembly, including Jamaica, adopted the new UN 2030 agenda, which seeks to complete a number of human development initiatives across the globe.
Jamaica stands fully behind the 2030 agenda, Mr. President, and we believe that it is a worthy successor to the Millennium Development Goals.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade's engagements at the multilateral level resulted in approvals granted for new WTO MFN waivers under the Caribbean Basin Initiative in May and CaribCan in July. The waiver provided extension to duty-free exports of eligible products to markets in the USA and Canada. At a meeting of trade ministers in Brussels in October, Jamaica repeated its call for a more accommodating and flexible multilateral trade system. In December, members of the World Trade Organization delivered on those expectations at the 10th WTO Ministerial Conference in Nairobi, Kenya, with historic agreements to address export subsidy, export competition, and preferential treatment. Beyond the U.S. President and the Prime Ministers of Britain and Japan, the Foreign Affairs Ministry facilitated other high-level visits in 2015. They included the Vice Chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress of China, Colombia's Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, and South Africa's Minister of International Relations and Cooperation. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade in 2015, strengthening foreign relations and trade, maximizing Jamaica's growth and development objectives.
Climate change has had an impact on the way we live. All of us have to adapt to and implement measures to combat this global phenomenon. Let's find out how.
Warning, warning, warning!
The world over is changing, and a number of the changes are as a result of the way you and I have chosen to live. From driving a car to garbage disposal, using electricity to light and cool your homes. All these activities contribute to the evolving problem known as climate change.
Climate change is happening now.
For some strange reason, Jamaica doesn't have any rainfall at all.
What I know right now is that it's a very hot summer.
The drought is killing us.
From the farmer to the housewife, climate change has no boundaries. It does not discriminate.
If I was to define climate change, I would say something like it's the long-term changes in measures of climate happening over very, very long periods of time, and specifically due to human activity. So the first is, of course, things that we burn for electricity, so gas and coal and oil. And when we burn those fossil fuels, we put certain gases in the atmosphere which are known as greenhouse gases. And those greenhouse gases cause the eventual warming of the earth. And then the other one would be land use change. So, for example, when we cut down the trees and replace the trees by concrete, you know, trees are what we call a natural sink. They take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere.
At the onset, the situation might seem dismal, but if we act now, we can begin adapting to the impacts of climate change.
The school of thought is that there are really three key actions. The first is what they call mitigation. And by mitigation, in the climate change context is, well, maybe we need to not put out as much greenhouse gases, which are causing the problem in the first place. The second key action then is figuring out how to adapt. And adapting means learning to live within the new context that we are creating for ourselves, the new climate context. The third critical plank is always education. We have to begin to educate people about climate change.
The country has been implementing a number of climate change resilient programs since 1995, when it became party to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, the main international treaty on climate change. The adaptation, mitigation, and education strategies have been reflected in the development of the Vision 2030 National Development Plan through Goal 4 under Outcome 14, Hazard Risk Reduction and Adaptation to Climate Change. The Climate Change Division within the Ministry of Water, Land, Environment and Climate Change has a leading role in coordinating these initiatives.
The Climate Change Division was established out of sheer necessity. The first-hand evidence of climate change really came from experiences of ordinary Jamaicans, more so the fisher folk. And all of that came together to say, well, we had better to prepare to adapt and mitigate.
The Climate Change Division is set up to accomplish a number of objectives, and that includes improving the general awareness of the public as to what climate change is and what as a country we can all do in order to make ourselves better prepared for the likely and significant impacts.
The division has been making strides in creating awareness about climate change and each individual's role in protecting the environment.
As a country, we need to think, how can we reduce our greenhouse gas output? One obvious way is, for example, renewable energy. So to pursue renewable energy as a viable energy option.
Our main activity is to ensure that we keep whatever forests we have in Jamaica intact. And in areas that we have lost the forest is to replace it.
We have seen where our shoreline is changing. We've been doing a lot of work with replanting of mangroves, and we encourage replanting of seagrass. We have done work with establishment of coral nurseries, artificial reefs.
we have experienced firsthand and will continue to see the changes that result from climate change. It is real, and all hands have to be on board to ensure success in our mitigation, adaptation, and education strategies.
With climate change, we must change.
You as parish managers, you as regional managers know your role to do your inventory now, to see what you have and to mobilize the country. Outreach with communities, outreach with civil societies, outreach with the churches. That is what we are going to do. We are going to call on every single Jamaican. Look around your house, search your environment, find this mosquito.
Join the fight. Eliminate the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Stop the spread of dengue and chikungunya. And keep Jamaica Zika free.
By now, you should have heard a number of reports on the effects and complications of Zika virus ZIKV. Thankfully, it has not reached our shores, but the Ministry of Health is leaving nothing to chance. Jamaica's ZIKV preparation and response plan is in motion. How are you helping to get rid of mosquitoes in your community? We went out a road to find out how.
No dirty water, right? Clean out every corner and nothing dirty around them, no dirty pan or nothing. I saw the mosquitoes them move. Because if you keep them things, them are going to starve it.
Only thing we can do about it, you know, is just clean up my house and make my sure my house safe. Like empty the pan them having water and keep my garden clean.
Well, we try to clean up the gullies and the containers around the house and all of these things.
Spray the place and get some, like some chemical or something, or tune in the water.
I always travel with repellent, because I know they're going to bite me, because they want fresh blood.
Just clean up your environment and make sure say clean. That means to say you hinder mosquito them from bite the children, them also bite yourself.
Them have to clean up the place where them they run, because more time you have some local pan where catch up water and them go in it and all these things. So the people who were living at them the place have to clean up them place.
We did have but the other one did name before. Oh God Almighty, man, he nearly killed me, man. Couldn't eat, pure pain. So might be this one I come go down even worse. Right now, I have to get the repellent, turn on the fan to keep them blow, keep the windows closed and what have you.
I'm not planning to do a thing to get rid of mosquito. Mosquito have to be alive. A long time me born mosquito bite me long time I'm there same way before repellent come in.
Up next, we journey to Clarendon to examine the Rural Safe School Bus program.
School children in Clarendon are riding to classes in safety and comfort. Since February 2015, they've been on board the Rural Safe School Transportation Program.
It's an example to other areas.
This landmark project was conceptualized by the Clarendon Parish Council. It's now a successful partnership involving the Ministry of Transport, Works and Housing, the Transport Authority, Jamaica Constabulary Force, schools in the parish and private bus operators. It began by transporting 1,700 students from 3 Clarendon high schools, but has since expanded to 7 schools and is looking to accommodate even more. 10 private bus operators were brought on board to supplement the initial 3 JUTC buses. Those private bus operators had to sign a memorandum of understanding agreeing to adhere to standards set out by the Transport Authority.
It is a standard-driven program, and we do everything to ensure that the standards are maintained. Any operator that fails to maintain the standards will not be maintained in the program. Safe, the emphasis on safe. And so the buses that are utilized in this program have to meet certain structural integrity criteria. They have to be safe, they have to be clean, they have to have safety gadgets attached to them.
It mirrors the St. Catherine's school bus program, which was launched in September 2013, and the school's transportation program in Portmore and Manchester.
We work closely with the school, the PTA and the school administration to ensure that our students are adhering to the timetables, so that again it becomes part of their own discipline to ensure punctuality, which later on will redound in a high level of productivity.
For the long term, government sees the system in Clarendon, St. Catherine and Manchester as a blueprint for fine-tuning strategies to institute a national rural school transportation service.
We won't be able to replicate JUTCs all over the island, but nonetheless, within the constraints of the resources available to us, I commit that my ministry will work with the relevant parties in providing safe transportation to and from school for all our school children.
The Clarendon example points to huge benefits from such a system.
Arrival at school on time, improvement in punctuality at school, improvement in attendance. And what I mean by improvement in attendance? Because students are not benefiting from lower fare, traveling comfort, no more lapping up, restoration of discipline, again no lewd and loud music, no careless and reckless driving. Operators are more courteous.
It's a breath of fresh air for us at Gavin Maceo, because we were exposed initially to like the shuttle buses.
But now that that does not exist anymore, we feel assured that our students will come ready for learning, settled.
We normally arrive at school very late because of the shuttle buses. They didn't have any specific time to pick us up. And at times, I was really annoyed by the music and the lapping up. Now I can go to school in fine style and comfort.
And also the students, they get to integrate.
If I'm not able to study at home, I'm able to study in the bus on my way to school.
Everybody want the AC, so everybody take the bus. So we appreciate it and we love it a lot. We thank the government a lot for putting this service in place for us.
It's very important that we ensure that our children are safe all the time, but particularly on the way to and from school. Through creative thinking, we can provide a worthy service which allows our children to move to and from safely and in some level of comfort.
And on that note, we close the pages of today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Remember to get rid of those containers that provide a haven for mosquitoes. And watch our show every day on this station for other useful information. You may also visit our website, jis.gov.jm, and keep connected through our social media platforms. This has been Jamaica Magazine. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson, wishing you a safe evening.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.